My guest on today's podcast is an artist who's been around a very long time. Although, if I think about it, not as long as me. But 40 years, that's a considerable number. He burst onto the music scene in 1982 with his band Culture Club and had a global hit with Do You Really Want to Hurt Me? And then came Karma, 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 Karma. I'm not going to go any further. You know it. Karma Chameleon. And a string of others. He sold millions of records and was one of the most influential members of the British new romantic scene. His name is famous the world over. He's instantly recognizable, thanks to his iconic eyeliner, darling. And of course, those amazing hats that he wears. He's actually George O'Dowd, but I think you'll know him better as Boy George.
I'm actually shocked when people really just don't like me, and I'm like, but you don't know me. If you knew me, you couldn't possibly dislike me because I'm just not dislikable. It was doomed from the minute we laid eyes on each other. It was never going to work. Why was it doomed? It's like this mad, insecure queen from South London. He was a posh boy from Hampstead whose parents didn't approve, and who knew how to have a relationship, particularly under the microscope. I think Bowie was like one of those people that if he liked you, it was like, I'm absolutely cool. Don't even try to consider that I'm not.
This is the Lulu Podcast, and in this episode, we discuss the big turning points in George's life. When he first met influential people like Bowie and Quentin Crisp, when he lost his mother, how he found calm, slowed down, not very much though, and stopped reacting to every trigger. Today on Turning Points, I'm speaking with Boy George. Can I just say that we know each other for over 40 years, right? But I think we're almost family, don't you?
Absolutely. And then, of course, obviously I'd watched you as a kid, because, I used to be obsessed with all the TV shows and,
Yes.
To Sir With Love. Yes. And I was a massive fan. I loved your voice. So also you sang with Bowie. So
that's the other big thing with you.
Huge. I mean,
you're slightly obsessed, just slightly obsessed. Oh my God.
So,
by the way, he just pulled up his sleeve and there's this huge tattoo.
Mark on one
David
side.
And Mark Bolan on the other.
Yeah, I love Mark. But so when you sang with Bowie, that changed.
Yeah.
I think that changed your status with lots of Bowie fans.
Well, a lot of people took me seriously then.
I think people loved your voice. There wasn't. I think people always knew you could sing, so it wasn't a surprise. But it was just that thing of Bowie. Bowie likes you.
People looked at me differently once I went with Bowie. That's for sure. Because
I think Bowie was like one of those people that if he liked you, it was like, I'm absolutely cool. Don't even try to consider that I'm not, because, come on. That's a cool thing.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you came and did my show. You sang The Man Who Sold the World on my little mad TV show that I had called Blue Radio, which was sort of before Sky really got anywhere. I had this little mad TV show that I used to do every Sunday. I had everyone on there. I had like Cynthia Payne. I had like, what's his name? Spike Milligan.
Oh
I had
my God,
insane
you had
people.
a potpourri. Tell me when you first saw Bowie. Tell me about when you first saw him.
Well,
Where did you first see him?
1972, I saw Ziggy Stardust at Lewisham. But my brother, I was 11 and a half. My brother Richard was the Bowie fan. So Man Who Sold the World was, the original album, that black album, with all those kind of mad songs. That was what I used to hear through the bedroom, and I was like...
Your brother was a big influence. Well, my brother was in it. My brother made me sit down and listen to Honky Dory.
Well, my brother, you see, the thing is, I used to think my brother Richard was a genius, but he was just allowed out. So he was allowed out, and he was allowed out to get things. So he would come back with
things.
He'd come out with back with like Platform Shoes and Alice Cooper albums and Slade and whatever it may be. And obviously, I was just one of those kids that very magpie-like. I wanted to hear everything, and
you're curious.
I think when Ziggy came along, Richard was like, "Right, I'm moving on to Rod Stewart." Bowie's got a bit too far with the feather boas. And
or he's become popular. I want to be.
Just too flamboyant. Ziggy was too much.
But not for you, dear.
No, that was like, hand it over. And I went to see him in 1972, and I used to sit outside his house.
Did you?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a famous story about Angie opening the window and telling us to fuck off.
Ah!
She opened the window, she goes, would you just fuck off? And we
Where
were like,
did he live? Where did he live?
Beckenham.
Beckenham.
Yeah. Haddon
Glamour,
Hall.
darling. Glamour, darling.
Haddon Hall. They've knocked it down now. It's absolute scandal. They knocked that down and they knocked down Lewisham Odeon, which is even bigger scandal.
I don't like that they did that.
No, they should have
I
kept
work
it as a
Lewisham.
shrine. But then, of course, I used to go and see every gig. There's a photo of me at Victoria Station when I was 14 that I found recently. I remember bunking off school to go and see Bowie coming back from Berlin. He arrived at Victoria Station in the big, sort of Cadillac, and I remember being photographed. I remember thinking, "Oh, I might get in trouble because I'm sort of like, no, I'm being photographed, but what if my mum sees it?" So I recently saw it, and it's mind blowing. Chalky White had taken it, and you can really see me, and I've still got David Cassidy haircut, and I'm really gummy and young and having the moment. But then obviously I met him later on, a few times. We had dinner a couple of times, and I talked to him. I used to send him emails, and I would send these tirades of love and worship, and I'd get like a line back.
That was that image that he had. Did he help you to come
No.
to terms with, or even just from afar, did he help you come to terms with who you really were?
Well,
because you weren't out when you first, were you?
No, but I mean, if you'd have met me when I was 14...
It looked like you should be out.
First of all, I was aggressively gay before Culture Club. When I met John, I was really a drag queen. I mean, I looked at the footage last night. I was like, oh my God, and seeing how when we met, we absolutely fell in love instantly. It was like the minute I met John, he said the same thing. I was watching this documentary, and he was very open and very sweet. I was like, wow, it got me quite emotional. And he said, but you could see it. The minute we met, I was like, oh my God, he's gorgeous. And he was like, oh, is it a boy or a girl? It was the whole thing.
He was completely
And
intrigued.
it was doomed from the minute we laid eyes on each other. It was
Why
never
was
going
it
to work.
doomed?
Because
Why?
I was like this mad, insecure queen from South London. He was a posh boy from Hampstead whose parents didn't approve. And, who knew how to have a relationship, particularly under the microscope?
Do you think when you say who knew how to have a relationship, you were young, of course, but do you think it was because of watching your parents? That's the relationship you watched, and it was kind of
1,000%,
dysfunctional.
But the part of me, I think, was I wanted the sort of traditional relationship, but then I didn't want it as well.
Yes.
I wanted it. I didn't want it.
Yes.
It was one of those sort of he loves me, he loves me not. I'm kind of, listen, I was difficult. I was difficult at school. I went into school and just was a difficult kid. I was like, don't tell me what to do, because obviously at home I was controlled. My dad ruled the roost. So when I went to school, no one was going to tell me anything. I was cheeky to the teachers. I used to get sent home. I never told my parents that, if I got sent home, I'd go and sit in a tree. I never went home and said I got thrown out of school. I mean, just get hit again.
Did they not find out?
Eventually, I got expelled. Eventually, my mum got 40 letters or something in different envelopes because I was intercepting.
Oh, you took the letters?
I was taking all the letters. So eventually, it must have sent a bunch of them all at the same time in different envelopes, and one of them got through. Because I thought that was like a Christmas card. My mum was like, you've been bunking off school for months. I was sitting in a tree in the forest.
Do you think that because of your just how you were had something to do with the way you were brought up, and watching your parents have a relationship didn't give you like perfect sort of guidelines?
No, but I think I just read something recently. They were saying that kids are born with like nearly 130 character traits. So this idea that your parents do it to you.
No. I think it's karma. I mean, isn't that one of your favorite words?
It is, but I don't know.
You come in with it.
But I think you come in with bits of your history, bits of your grandmother, bits of this, bits of that. I mean, if something's going on emotionally in your family, it's a big thing. People can't express themselves. Well, you've got to look at what your grandmother was like and what the one before.
100%. Those are your influences.
Absolutely.
And your genes.
Yeah, but also behaviour.
Yeah. My
grandmother, bless her, she was stern. She was, tough as hell.
And how was her relationship with your grandfather?
He was a typical Irishman, gambling, drinking, she
Never
ran
there, really.
she ran the roost,
Right.
loads of kids. But my grandmother was taken from the streets when she was 6 years old and put in a children's home. They just took her off the streets because there were these people in Ireland called the cruelty men. They worked for the church, and if they got a kid, they got like 14 shillings or something. So neighbours would tell on each other, oh, so-and-so's not looking after her kids, or this one's always coughing. But actually, my grandmother was just outside playing. She wasn't.
And they
unwanted.
swiped her.
They took her. She never saw her family again. So you can imagine what she must have gone through. And she was tough. And you could see that she was,
She had to be.
you couldn't.
She had to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what about your mother? Was your mother like your grandmother?
My mum was.
Because you were close to
My
your
mum could be moody. Ooh. See, I like slap around the face. I'd rather get a kick than a long drawn out, don't talk to me.
passive aggressive.
And my mum used to do that sometimes, put the dressing gown on for the entire day, not taking the milk, washing machine, just going for hours.
Oh, God.
Endless cycle.
Passive aggressive.
And you'd say, Mum, she'd go, don't talk to me.
With
Don't-
the Irish
Don't
accent.
talk to me. Don't. What did I tell you? So, it was like, I would literally find that very frustrating, being a performer, wanting applause.
Yeah,
But
wanting
she'd do that
attention.
she did that with my dad as well. But then, thinking back, she had lots to be unhappy about.
Yeah. So I have very similar stories, but I want to know about yours.
I did everything I could not to be like my dad. But turned out that I was the most like him of anyone in
happens
my
to all of
family,
us.
like the gay version of my dad. And it was like, I went out of my way not to be like him, but I guess I soaked it up because
Of course you do.
you can't not,
Yeah.
And I think it's just about, that thing of like, shut up. That was the thing I heard a lot when I was
Me
a kid.
too.
Shut up, shut up.
Me too.
Guess what I did today? Shut up. So you get silenced a lot, which I think is why we go out and seek so much attention.
I agree with you. I think it's like wanting to be heard. It's funny. I think I now realize I want to be heard. And that's probably why I sang shout. That's why shout.
You literally took the words out of my mouth. I was like, literally, what about the metaphor of that song?
Yeah, because I was
do you
told to
really
be
want to
quiet.
hurt me? Hello,
Hello.
Kel Surprise. I mean, it's like, because
But
obviously.
that actually, George, sorry for interrupting, but
No, it's
that, I think, what we've just talked about has happened to a lot of people. They don't have to be famous like Boy George or have had a career like you and I have had, but it happens at home when there's a lot of kids there. They're told, be quiet, I can't hear myself think, shut up, shut up, shut up. Or, oh, don't get above yourself.
But then also the sort of thing of like, my dad could also be very complimentary, but it was
Yes.
always on his terms.
Yes.
It wasn't like when you wanted it. It was like when he felt like, and he did, he'd say, you've got a beautiful voice. He'd say, my son's got a great voice. My mum was a bit more encouraging in terms of being who I wanted to be. I think partly because my dad stopped her from being who she wanted to be.
That's interesting. Your father stopped your mother
Yeah,
from
my
singing?
mum. If my mum put on if she put a nice dress on, she was having an affair. If she got dressed up, what were you dressed up like for? There was this funny moment,
was
which I talk about
jealous.
in my book, where my dad bought my mum driving lessons, but because she put her best coat on, he chased the driving instructor down the street, which is funny in hindsight.
In retrospect, right.
It was funny. Well, at the
But
time,
not
it
that
wasn't
moment.
funny at all. It was like my poor mum, put a nice coat on. And my dad was like, well, if you're going to walk around like dinosaurs, acting like you're going out to theatre, no one's going to take you seriously. It was all about jealousy, though. It
And
was
how
all
did
about...
you feel when you would hear your father say that?
I was always telling my mum to leave my dad. I was always called, I was the
So
one
was
that was...
I.
Yeah, I was always saying, I didn't leave him, she should be quiet. Because my mum and dad were both Aquarian, born on the same day. They met on their birthdays. So they were chalk and chalk. And if I said Dad's a pig, my mum would find something nice to say about him because that's what Aquarians do. They come in for the universe. They have to make things right, except when they have a row. Then it's like...
They're right,
I've
you're
been writing
wrong.
about my mum recently saying, actually, my mum was a peacemaker, but if she wanted to have a row with you, ooh, duck.
Your childhood sounds a little bit like mine. I suppose all of our childhoods, there are similarities. But so when he put your mum down,
I hated it. I mean, because I used to love my mum. My mum didn't dress up a lot, but when she did, my mum used to make clothes. She was a really good seamstress. There was a shop in Eltham High Street called Paraphernalia. My mum used to sew all the dresses.
Oh.
So I was always like, sometimes she'd get some flares. I'd be, oh, Mum, let me have these. She'd go, no, they're going to the shop. There's 10 pairs.
I could see it.
Yeah, it was amazing. So my mum occasionally would dress up for a family gathering or a wedding or something. And she had really good taste, my mum. She was very, very beautiful and stylish.
So you get that from your mother.
Yeah. I mean, my mum used to, headbands and,
Clothes.
flower shoes and matching, all of that. My dad was against any forms of glamour where my mum was concerned.
He did
Just
not want her
jealousy.
to be looked at.
No. Weird.
Are you jealous?
Very. Like almost like to the point where it's embarrassing.
With your partners?
Well, I think for me, I watched that part of myself. Say 10 years ago, if I was on the phone to someone I was going out with and I heard someone in the background, I would create all sorts of scenarios about who is it. Now I just let it go. I don't ask questions. I don't do those things, because if you do those things, you will go down that road.
Now, how did you change that? Because that is a tough one, to have that jealous streak.
I think it's always there, but I think as you start to understand that it's a really horrible quality. It's a horrible, suffocating... I mean, listen, I wish I knew what I knew 30 years ago. I knew that I would never be jealous. I would never chase after a guy. I would have made them all chase me. You know, it was so... who I am now to who I was all those years ago when I was like, I just want a boyfriend. And I wanted all the things that my parents didn't have. I think that was what it was.
Which were what?
No, there wasn't much love. You know, there was a sort of tolerance and, you know, I mean, my parents did love each other, no question, but they just weren't respectful to each other. So I grew up thinking that was normal, that screaming and shouting was what you did in a relationship, and that constituted love. Somebody hit you over the head with a chair, they really loved you.
Neanderthal.
They wanted to stay.
It's Neanderthal.
It's the caveman grabbing,
Yeah,
pulling
I mean,
the-
that's exactly what boys used to do at school when I was at school. And you knew he fancied you if he smacked you over the head with his hat or something.
Yeah.
Or satchel.
Hostility, indifference. I'll still do that. If I like someone, I will not give them one bit of attention. And it's always the person in the room that's ignoring me that I fancy the most.
I wish we had a psychiatrist here. I'd like to know what that is. I would like to know what that is. I have that syndrome, that I don't want them to know how keen I am.
Well, my dad was very emotionally, sort of away. He wasn't there emotionally. He was there, like, with rage and anger and all of that, the sort of surface stuff. But really, there was no real calm, So, I grew up sort of being quite attracted to that sort of.
Yes, was what you knew, what you feel safe. Even the danger that you felt safer with the danger you knew rather than danger you don't know.
In recovery, we say tragedy seeks the hostage. It's like you're looking for the teeth that created the wound. You're looking for... It's a strange thing because obviously you'd never encourage anyone that you loved to go and do that, but you do it to yourself.
You lost your mother very recently.
Yeah.
And how do you manage to cope? Because I know you were incredibly close.
I actually the only thing I find most frustrating is not being able to call her and say, oh, I'm doing a Lulu podcast or I'm doing this. Or I just, my mum was interested in everything, so she loved to know everything. Tell me what you've been doing and what was the hotel like, photos. In the early days, I would always call her if I was in the Bel Air, say, Mum, I'm in this hotel, it's like 60 quid for a cup of tea. She's like, oh, Jesus, So it was that thing of, I had such a great friendship with her and I was with her when she passed. It was insane.
How was that?
It was amazing. It was beyond anything I could have hoped for, because
Not scary.
it was a privilege. I have to say, it was a real privilege. And in fact, I talked to a Buddhist teacher friend of mine, Desmond, and he said it's one of the greatest gifts if you can be with your mother when she leaves this planet, that it's so... It was nothing like I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be... Well, I thought I'd scream and, go mad. And
Yes.
But in the moment, I was like, do you know what? This isn't about you. It's not about you. Shut the fuck... excuse beep. Shut up. But I was singing all my Hindu. I was like, oh...
So you were chanting.
I was chanting and holding a hand. And my priest, who's a Catholic, Father Richard. I was like, sorry, Richard.
The Irish priest.
But my mum... What was making me laugh afterwards, I was thinking, if my mum had woken up, she'd have gone, shut, what are you singing?
What are you singing?
I used to say to my mum all the time, Mum, say my vibe is magic. She'd go, fuck off. It was just hilarious that she was just, why are you talking like that? But she always knew that I was always exploring. She'd say, oh, I don't know what he is this week. Yeah. He's a Hindu, vegan.
But I also think it's interesting that you were brought up a Catholic. And, like your mother would be saying, what for goodness sake, what's that you're playing on there? My mother would be the same. Oh, that noise.
I would say I'm a Catholic in my complications and a Buddhist in my aspirations.
I like that.
That's how I see it. Like, obviously, you never escape Catholicism, but also, it's also, you know, you can have these great conversations about whether God exists or not. If you don't believe in God, he doesn't exist, she doesn't exist. If you do, they do exist. It's really about your imagination. And that's why, you know, I always say to people, I believe everything. Aliens, I believe. Lulu's the Wizard of Oz. I believe all of it because how do you know? So I'm always like, yeah, okay, do I believe in that? Yeah, I believe in that.
Were you always that way?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's
always as a kid. I was always like, I mean, and now I realise through the three principles that we're sort of making so much of it up.
So, Tom, can you explain to me and to the people listening about the three principles?
Well, the three principles are mind, thought, and consciousness. Right.
So how does it work?
So it really is about. I think one of the key things is like when you're, like, say, with a partner, this idea that you need to know everything about that person is so unreasonable and ridiculous because we're all vast universes. It's like, comes back to the sort of Alan Watts thing that everything in the universe is in a negotiation at all times with everything else. So nothing exists without everything else. It's all going on at the same time. And we kind of get drawn into petty, silly, surface rubbish that doesn't mean anything.
Trying to control things,
well,
you
like,
mean?
you know, I don't know, like, I've never been a moaner, but I've definitely become less of a moaner.
So the three principles will help with that?
1000%, like, you know, because, like, arguing against what is, right, or what you've imagined things to be.
Your perception.
Is a kind of form of insanity. So, you know, like, you have a row with the cab driver and then you're still going on about it an hour later. And it's like, he's gone home. And I don't know, I feel like, obviously I'm a Gemini, so I think all the time about everything. But I'm also willing to accept that my thinking is not necessarily what's happening or isn't really helpful. So I do
you mean it's your point of view, it's how you see it, it's not how everybody
my interpretation.
sees it.
So one of the things that I do a lot of is when I meditate, I listen to these really unpleasant frequencies that just clear your mind. Like literally they're like white noise, like just like it's almost like an alarm's going off. But you find actually you close your eyes and suddenly you're like, actually, do you know what? You can never clear your mind. But having a sort of detox of the sort of regular thoughts you might have about yourself, where you just go, actually, permission not to think. Like we were talking earlier about, I've been much slower on this podcast, and I'm very happy about that. I'll probably be able to listen to it now because I've been a bit slower.
They'll probably edit it so the good bits will be out.
Yeah, but I think, you know, it's that thing of like, it's really nice not to think sometimes. Or to clear your mind out so that some other thoughts can come in.
Slow it down.
And, you know, one of the things, you know, I love working, but I also really enjoy, like, nothing.
Doing nothing.
But not too much of it, but enough to be... I think if you're going to do nothing, you've got to do it really well.
Do you think you'll ever retire? Will you ever stop working?
No.
No,
because I think life's the verb. Life's the doing thing. It's not when people say to me, you must be exhausted, I'm like, you must be. I'm not exhausted. Why are you telling me?
There's a pandemic of exhaustion.
But it's like they're throwing a black...
exhausted.
But people always say, it must be really stressful. I go, no. My mother's life was stressful.
Yes,
my life
mother's.
has only been stressful when I've made it stressful.
And look, you know, I have to ask you some questions. Let's go. Why don't we talk about, my God, you were on Broadway.
Yeah.
You are,
I'm
first
going
of
back.
all, but I know you're going back to Broadway. You're going to do, what was the play you did?
I did Moulin Rouge.
Moulin Rouge. What about even the actual fact that you broke America? Because a lot of British acts cannot break America. Some of the most fabulous and most successful acts don't break there. Was that a thing for you?
I think it was because you weren't trying to break America. We didn't really understand.
Yes.
Maybe John was. Maybe some of the, you know, the manager.
He wanted
but
it.
certainly my whole thinking wasn't like, I was a bit like, they're going to like us because they like us in England. They like us in Belgium. Why would they be any different?
Why wouldn't they? Well,
Why wouldn't
it was simple to you. But I don't know why a lot of people can't. But I think your point is that they overthink it. Now, you did have a famous lunch, I think, with Andy Warhol, and you did someone I loved, Quentin Crisp. You took Quentin Crisp with you?
I did. I got this phone call. I was staying in a hotel with Marilyn in New York, And the phone went, Marilyn answered it.
So just remind the listeners who Marilyn
So
is.
Marilyn was my sort of best friend from maybe about the age of 18. I met him. He was this fantastic drag queen that used to dress up as Marilyn Monroe and looked amazing.
It was gorgeous.
And was
What
a bit
about
of-
Quentin? Also, tell the people
So
who Quentin is.
Quentin Crisp, I'd seen a sort of TV play about him
I remember
with
that.
John Hurt.
Brilliant.
And it was about the life of Quentin Crisp, who was a sort of, kind of a prophet, like a gay, spiritual, but sort of a weird. He wasn't trying to be spiritual, but he was very profound.
What was it called? The Naked
Civil Servant, but he did
Civil
lots
Servant.
of books, like The Importance of Style. He was always
I
like,
found it fascinating.
one of the things he said, I was at I went to see him a lot. I went to see a lot of his one-man shows. I was in Brighton, and this queen was like, Quentin, I've just come out. Shall I tell my mother? And he goes, never tell your mother anything. And that was his thing, you know. He was, there's a fantastic, like, sort of narrative by Quentin Crisp where he talks about, and this is 50, 60 years, I don't know when it was. He says, if you want to become a virgin, do it on TV. It's like he was like predicting what was going to happen. He said, if you're on TV, people will cross the road at the risk of being killed to say, I saw you on the telly. And
So true.
I'm going to send it to you because it's brilliant. And it's like he just prophesies what was going to happen. There's
So
some,
you took him to meet Andy Warhol, or you just took him to the lunch?
no, I got called by Warhol's secretary to say, would you like to come to lunch? And we were
I
like,
just got a call from Andy Warhol.
of course we're going to come. Of
lunch,
course we're going to
darling.
come. And they said, would you like to invite anyone else? I said, well, Marilyn's a non-negotiable. She's definitely coming. So that's...
She's insistent.
She's like, you're taking him instead of me.
Yeah.
So then I said, could you invite Quentin Crisp? And they said, oh, yeah, he'll come, no problem. And he was there, and he was brilliant. He was so funny. I'd just done a shoot with Avidon.
Oh, nice.
And I was telling him about the shoot, and he goes, my, Mr. Boy George, you must be so energetic. All that running and chiffon. I just thought he was brilliant. It was him. Rupert Everett was there.
Oh,
Bianca
lovely.
Jagger. Marilyn, and there were some kids there were some freak friends of ours that we brought with us.
And he always had interesting people.
And
there.
Andy just,
loved,
saying
loved.
nothing, just watching.
And taking it all. in.
voyeurizing.
So did you get to know Andy Warhol and see him?
Ish. We were, in his diaries, he's rude about me 4 times.
Right.
He said, calls me fat. He says, I went to Madison Square Gardens to see Culture Club, and Boy George is really fat. He was obsessed with everyone being fat. And there's
he
a
was
few other
obsessed with everyone being thin.
Well, that was it. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So I wasn't that.
Yes.
But I've done a painting about that where I've done Andy, and it says on it, I went to see Boy George and he was really fat, which I thought was hilarious. Size Queen, it's called. I mean, obviously, at the time, I wish I'd been more present to...
Why were you not present?
I was full of my own self-importance. Boy George.
Were you taking substances?
Drugs,
Well,
fame.
then you won't be present if you're doing
I wasn't
drugs.
interested in... I knew he was fantastic, and I wish I'd been more present. You know, when I think back, I think, oh, I wish I'd been more...
More
of a
there.
creep.
More there, yeah. More a creep. So what you were telling me about your childhood and how you have changed. What time, now you're in your 60s, when
63.
did that change? And how? What
the thing
happened?
the
What
thing
was the
about-
turning point?
Well, I think the thing about the 3 principles, which is mind, thought, and consciousness, is when you start practicing it, the first thing they say is you already know this. This isn't something, you already know all of this, right? Which is pretty true about most spiritual understandings. You know
They
it.
don't all say that, but I've heard
But you
that.
don't.
My
you,
teacher says
you know
that.
it, and it's about unlearning what I call sort of default behavior, where you kind of go, well, I always do that when you do that because I'm supposed to be angry, you know, and you get locked into these agreements with people, particularly people that you're very close to, family, lovers, whatever,
Patterns.
managers. It could be anyone, you know, that you're with all the time.
Yes.
And you kind of just do what you always do. And I think once you realize, okay, that's not really getting me what I want, you know. I mean, I worked with an acting coach for 4 years, a guy called Charlie Walker-Wise, because I wanted to kind of up my stage confidence. This is a while back. And that was the beginning of me really learning all these kind of tricks about posture and thinking. And he would often say to me, I would tell him about an argument I might have had with the band or whatever, a situation, and he would say, okay, well, how did you react? When I told him, he'd be like, how did that go? And I'd be
screamed at them?
I'd be like, it wasn't good. He goes, no, well, it's never going to be good. And he goes, you are a seducer. You do that. When you go on stage, you seduce the audience. You're not indifferent to the audience. So use the same thing. Charm, don't dictate, There's always a way of getting what you want, but you might not even want what you think you want. And sometimes, it's just avoiding that default behavior. Don't tell me what to do and all that stuff. Because, I don't know about you, but there was a point in my early career where I used to kick off all the time and have these massive tantrums, because I think sometimes it felt like I was in charge if I said no and I wasn't going to do it. And I always did it. Everyone was like, oh, he's leaving the band again, I always did. Because I've never been one to cut off my nose despite my career. I'm very sensible when it comes to...
Well, I think that before you go any further, hold that thought though. I think because of the fact that you have been and you still are probably, I would say it looks like you maybe even more successful than you've ever been. You're certainly more visible than you have ever been. And so it seems like you've managed your career very well.
Well, I think I've just always enjoyed what I do.
Yes.
And I think if you just carry on enjoying it, and I think I enjoy it more.
Yes.
So, I don't walk into a situation anymore thinking, this situation has to please me. I'm like, I need to bring the joy to the moment.
That's 100%. I mean, if anyone had to ask, they do, and I repeat, so something similar. I put it different to you, but yeah, you have to feel the joy. Then you give it out. You all feel it. That's what it's all about. But what made you change? Was it the acting coach? Was he sort of like a therapist? Because acting is like therapy when you study it.
It was accidental therapy because when I first went to Charlie, I was like, I want to learn to act a bit, be a bit more confident. I want a bit more, I don't know, I just don't want to feel that nerves, when I'm on stage, those gaps between the songs. And you go, what am I going to say? And I didn't realize you could get better at that. You just have to practice. It's not like you're on stage ever saying the same things, but you know what you want to say. And it's a bit like songwriting. If you know what you want to say, you'll find a way to say it. So it's always about, well, what do I actually care about? Okay, this song is about this. What do I want to tell them? And I think that also works with doing a lot of new material, is avoid saying this is the new song, because it's like the kiss of death.
Well, when I was young, that was all I could say.
In fact,
I didn't say anything hardly. What I heard from the things that you've said already is that you have changed. And I think my personal opinion is that's why you're still around. Now there's got to be a million moments where you just you had like a light bulb moment, or you met somebody, or something. You're an acting coach. You have changed.
Yeah, I think that the pandemic was a massive reshake for me. I came back from Australia. I was staying in a hotel in the West End because my house was being rebuilt, so I couldn't get into my house. So I was in this hotel in the middle of Soho. The whole of the West End was mine. I was like going around on a Boris bike like a lunatic, and my friends were bringing me sourdough, and it was like a lot of time.
Yes.
And I think I started to really look at well, why do I do what I do? Because I never know.
Question.
I never know why I do what I do. I mean, it's not like I'm not
even now. You don't know.
Well, I don't care as much now, but I've never been one of those, I come alive when I go on stage and it's all happening. That's not what happens to me. I mean, I'm always like, why can't that happen to me? Why does that happen to other people?
What happens to you when you go on stage?
Well, it's very different now. It's very calm now. It's very chilled. It's very I mean, obviously I have to think about everything I do before I do it. Doesn't matter what it is. I always have to talk myself through. Okay, you're coming to do a podcast, getting your face on. Yeah. Just get yourself into... The minute I wake up, I do affirmations every day.
Me too.
I am happy, I am healthy, I am confident, I am strong, I am motivated, I am energized, I love and approve of myself. Yes. The universe provides me with everything I need. I am loved. I do the thing with I do religiously.
Well, there
the minute I wake up, it don't ever not do it.
I'd like you to just do them slower. Just do them slower.
I am
Because
happy.
you asked me about speaking slower before we started.
I am happy.
Yes.
I am healthy. I am confident. I am strong. I am motivated. I am energized. I love and approve of myself. And things like that.
That is I mean, if anyone who's listening thinks, what is an affirmation? Those are perfect affirmations, I think, to start with, because a lot of it is, I mean, what I hear from you is that, you know, what I recognize in myself too, that why are you giving me a compliment? Because I don't say it to myself, but I feel it. I'm not that great.
But you are, though. You're Lulu.
And yet I do believe I am great, but I believe everybody is great.
I have to tell this amazing conversation.
Go on.
I've got to tell this conversation I had with you because we were doing a version of The Man Who Sold the World and I rang you up. It was hilarious. And I was like, oh, hi, Lulu. It's George. Do you mind if we take it down a key? Because like I want it to sound amazing. And you said to me, oh, I thought you were already amazing. I am. And I was.
Did I say
you
that?
You did, yeah.
Oh, that's me trying
no,
to be
it was brilliant.
cute.
No, it was great. It was so cute.
Yes.
I was like, actually, do you know what? She's got a point.
And maybe it was in that moment. But I think basically I've learnt to do what you do, which is affirmations. I've learnt to change habits. But I want to hear how you do them. And I think the affirmations it's helped you.
Oh, 1,000%. I mean, when I was doing the jungle, I sort of had no phone, I had no computer, which is,
God.
I spend a lot of time on the internet. I love the internet. And, you know, I like communicating with people. I love that, you know, that I actually don't really get that many trolls. I get the odd one. And I always think, it's always the maddest things they say, like, you know, whatever. But I tend to laugh more at insults now than I used to. I used to get...
Now I think that's a great
I
attitude.
used to get really annoyed. I'd want to go around their houses and redecorate their heads, and I still like to have the last word. I'll still, if somebody...
There's still a little bit of the old George
Oh,
there.
yeah. I mean, if someone's being, like, vile, I'm like, you know, I'll say something really funny, like, to throw them. I'll just come up with something really random, like, and they'll be like, what does this mean? Like, who does your hair? You know, or whatever. Or it's just like, must be hard having no neck. I don't know. I haven't even seen these people. I'll just say something that might be a bit wounding.
Yeah.
It's not very grown up. But
But actually, that's something we put ourselves in at that position when you. Not that I ever really wanted to be famous. I don't know about you, but I just wanted to sing. But when you're in the position we're in, which is kind of like in front of people, a sort of public person, you do get people tend to think they can tell you what they think about you straight off the bat.
yeah, and I think...
And sometimes it can be very wounding.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
And you
know,
cope with that.
I'm actually shocked when people really just don't like me, and I'm like, but you don't know me. If you knew me, you couldn't possibly dislike me because I'm just not dislikable. But there are some people that just roll their eyes when they hear Lulu or when they hear Boy George. They just go, ugh. And it's like, fuck off. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, because it's like...
But that, I think, is a very important thing for young people who want to be, I'm putting my fingers in parentheses here, famous, which I think is like a curse. In a way, to be famous. I think if it comes along with the job, fine. But, you know, what you're talking about right now, for a young person to think about, I don't think you'd ever think about that before you do it. You know, it's not as easy as you think. You're famous, and then you have to put up with all this shit.
I was watching these, watching this documentary, and there were some absolutely hilarious clips of me in the 80s, and people used to sort of talk to me like I was no substance. They'd say, what's it like being a fashion horse or whatever, or where'd you get your hat? And I was so defensive. I took them to task. I've forgotten how brazen I was. I was like, people like you get on my nerves. And I'd be like, what about your look? And I was so defensive. But as I've got older, I've learned that being defensive is really unattractive. Like, you should never get annoyed when somebody says something rude to you.
Is that just maturity, or is it
it is.
because
Well, I
you
think
made
it
an effort?
really reads badly because no one sees the interviewer being rude. They just see the famous person throwing a strop.
And they don't care about the interview.
And I think there's always a way of going, oh, that's a really nice question. It's a bit early in the morning for that. Or I might even say to them, I wouldn't answer that to my mother.
See, that's a very good, I think that's a very good piece of information to give someone who does take things personally. I used to always take things personally. Everything was black and white and I took it personally. But I have worked very hard to change that. And then I think I've prayed for help with that. and it has dissipated.
But it's also interesting because how can it be personal? They don't know you, right?
True.
People are working with, information that's incorrect, filtered through tabloids, whatever
and
it
you're
may
allowed
be.
to have your own, your own opinion. But it's sort of not so much what they say, it's how a person says it that's offensive.
And some people can be really insulting in 140 characters without trying. Some people, even when they write something that's a bit innocuous, it's got a stink to it.
Sting.
You think, oh, who
a stink
are you?
and a sting.
You can see that they're like, it's so funny. Like, there's always like, you put something positive up and there's loads of beautiful comments and then just one rubbish.
But you are one of the, that I find that I love about you is that you're curious. You have never stopped looking for new things to learn and to try. I mean, look, you're now a painter.
Well, I've always painted.
But now it's public. It's in the public domain.
Now I'm selling my art, and that's insane. That's a really beautiful feeling because it's like applause. Someone buys a painting. It's like, it's
I can't draw anything.
It's self-worth.
I am so full of awe at people who can paint, and I've seen your paintings. They're very strong. They're vivid, sort of, I don't want to compare them to anybody, but I really was impressed.
It's punky. I mean, listen, whatever I do, I wear my influences very proudly.
Yes.
I'm not one of these, I take the view that everything already exists.
Huh?
So whenever you're creating something, you're going into a well-stocked pantry, whether it's music or lyrics or art or whatever. And you've got so much that you can use, in terms of sort of influences and ideas. So nothing is ever really
wasted.
No, and
I agree with you.
And I can't stand people that say, "Oh, I did that first." I'm like, oh, please. Oh. There's always a copy of Life magazine that will contradict you. Do you know what I mean?
And nothing's. I mean, I've heard it said, and I actually now absolutely believe it. Nothing is new. There may be a new interpretation. But it's all been said, it's all been done before. And like you said, the three principles, like my teacher says, I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. Well, we could talk for days.
We could.
Quite clearly.
We will. Let's do it again.
Clearly, we could talk for days.
Yeah.
But we haven't spent enough time together, you and I. We have to do that.
Well, you got my number. Don't be weird. You're only down the road from me.
I'm only around the corner from you, absolutely.
I don't like being annoying, though. Do you know what I mean? It's like... Yeah. We have this rule in showbiz, so go take my number but never call me.
Every time I speak to George, he surprises me. Well, the fact that he never comes up for air, that's the main thing. But the depth of his understanding about himself and his life is so inspiring. The good bits and the bad. He has such a curiosity. I think that's really important in life. He always wants to learn. I think he's got to be one of my favourite people. I'll put everything we spoke about in the show notes, but if you have any thoughts or questions, just drop me an email, lulu@whistledown.net. The Lulu Podcast, Turning Points, is a Whistledown podcast. Our producer is Faye Lyons-White. Follow us on Instagram @The Lulu Podcast, and don't forget to rate or review us wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time. Oh, just before I go, let me tell you about an amazing new podcast from Whistledown. It's The Power Sisters. They are Rachel, Elaine, and Caroline, three of the sassiest, most single-minded women you'll ever meet. They're old school friends and mentors for life. And they're so funny.
I mean, money worries are difficult
when you
in a
can't
relationship.
pay the bills, you cannot have a healthy relationship.
Shall we take away your salary? My mother is, of age, and she's still looking.
Yeah, your mum looks
gorgeous.
amazing.
Where are you going? I said, I'm recording a podcast. Oh, yeah, you, Auntie Rachel, trying to be famous.
Yes, we're not trying. We're not trying. We are.
I said, you're rude. We're not trying.
Welcome to the Power Sisters.
That's Power Sisters. Listen to them on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.